On the 3rd of August 2013, Kayla, who worked as an aid worker at a refugee camp in Syrians in southern Turkey, decided to travel to Aleppo to help a Spanish delegation, in fact, of Médecins Sans Frontières. During that journey, she was kidnapped by the Islamic State. For 18 months, she was kidnapped. She was held hostage, and she died. Her parents have come from the US. Thank you very much for being here with us. I should actually put on my headphones. I forgot, so if you allow me. Thank you very much for being here, and I welcome you here.
I would just like to thank the Congress for inviting. It's an honor for us to be here and to have this group of people honor our daughter is a wonderful blessing for us. Thank you very much.
I would like to stress that the Mueller family has refused many interviews, many participations in the media, at CNN, at Fox, in their country. Why did you do that? Why did you not want to talk to those large media?
Well, I think it was very soon for us, and we were dealing with the loss of our daughter. And sometimes we feel the media they over-dramatize things. And we wanted to be sure that we got all the facts straight. So then when we did approach the media, that we could tell all the facts as we know them to be. And I think that played a big part in why we decided to wait before we spoke to the media.
Kayla, let's start with a letter. Okay, there is a letter written by your daughter.
Brought out last March, or actually in March, by an MSF woman who had spent 6 weeks with Kayla. And this letter was brought out by her without the people that had Kayla knowing it. This is just one of the letters, but this tells you who Kayla is and where she was at the time. I'm going to take a drink of water if you don't mind. Okay. It says, everyone, if you're receiving this letter, it means I am still detained, but my cellmates, starting from February 11th, 2014, have been released. I have asked them to contact you and send you this letter. It's hard to know what to say. Please know that I am in a safe location, completely unharmed and healthy, put on weight, in fact. I have been treated with the utmost respect and kindness. I wanted to write you all a well-thought-out letter, but I didn't know if my cellmates would be leaving in the coming days or in the coming months, restricting my time. But primarily, I could only but write this letter a paragraph at a time. Just the thought of all of you sends me into a fit of tears. If you could have said I have suffered at all throughout this whole experience, it is only in knowing how much suffering I have put you all through. I will never ask you to forgive me, as I do not deserve forgiveness. I remember Mom always telling me that all in all, in the end, the only one you really have is God. I have come to a place in this experience where in every sense of the word, I have surrendered myself to our Creator, because literally there was no one else. And by God and by your prayers, I have felt tenderly cradled in free fall. I have been shown in darkness light, and I have learned that even in prison one can be free. I am grateful. I have come to see that there is good in every situation. Sometimes we just have to look for it. I pray each day that if nothing else, you have felt a certain closeness and surrender to God as well, and have formed a bond of love and support amongst one another. I miss you all, as if it has been a decade of forced separation. I have had many a long hour to think of all the things I will do with Lex, our first family camping trip, the first meeting at the airport. I have had many hours to think how only in your absence have I finally, at 25 years old, come to realize your place in my life. The gift that each one of you and the person I could and could not be if you were not a part of my life, my family, my support. I do not want the negotiations for my release to be your duty. If there is any other option, take it, even if it takes more time. This should never have become your burden. I have asked these women to support you. Please seek their advice. None of us could have known it would be this long, but I am also fighting from my side in the ways I am able, and I have a lot of fight left in me. I am not breaking down, and I will not give in no matter how long it takes. I wrote a song some months ago that says, "The part of me that pains the most also gets me out of bed. Without your hope, there would be nothing left." In other words, the thought of your pain is the source of my own. Simultaneously, the hope of our reunion is the source of my strength. Please be patient. Give your pain to God. I know you want me to remain strong. That is exactly what I am doing. Do not fear for me. Continue to pray as will I. And by God's will, we will all be together again soon. All my everything, Kayla.
Cuando la escuchaba, muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. Thank you. When I was listening, I was thinking, what a courageous daughter. And then I realized that you are very courageous yourselves. She had very courageous parents. You are very brave. Very brave. You are. I know that, well, you don't like being told so, but you are very brave. Your daughter traveled. Your daughter wanted to help people, right? That's why she traveled to so many countries. What made her feel the need to help people?
Well, Kayla started at a really young age. Before she could even drive, at the age of about 14, she began helping with other youth counts. And we would drive her to these places so she could help. And then from that point on, she started hearing about Darfur in high school and became very touched by all of that and wanted to help with Darfur. And then she went off to college, and even in high school, though, she was going to different places and speaking with intergenerational groups about how all ages can work together to help people. We all need to figure out how to do that. And one thing that Kayla had such a gift for is she was able to meet people where they were and learn from them on how to work together. And that was such a wonderful gift to have. And I don't know, you want to add anything to that?
Well, Kayla, she so appreciated all of her freedoms that we enjoy in the United States and the people here in Spain as well. And she just felt it injustice not to use those freedoms to their fullest and go out and reach to people and stop the suffering. She truly was tormented by the suffering of others.
Did you know that the situation, well, you knew that the situation in the Middle East was at least unstable when she decided to leave. What did you think of that decision when she made that decision?
Kayla actually, when she went to Turkey, southern Turkey, she had been living in France for a full year. She always had plans for what she was doing, and the plan to go to France was so that she could go to Africa, to a French-speaking area, so she felt she needed to be fluent in French. But while she was in France, someone that she had met that wasn't living in Syria, but was Syrian, well before the Syrian Revolution ever started, they had become friends, and they were talking, and he went back to Syria, and he started telling her these horrific things that were going on in his country. And that drew her to the Turkish border to work for Support to Life, to try to help the Syrian refugees that were along the border. So as far as us knowing, the United States is way over there, and it seems like we didn't hear a lot about all of the horrific things going on in Syria, except through Kayla after she went to Turkey. The news pretty much tells you what they want you to hear. So we didn't hear a lot at that time until she was already there and came back and started trying to tell people about it.
I told Kayla once when we were Skyping, we had this conversation, and I told Kayla that this was not her war and that she did not need to die for this war. Mm-hmm. And her response to me in a letter was, she told me that there should be no my people, your people, and that any place there's injustice, it's her problem. And she said she would not, of course this was not her war, she would never lay claim to something as barbaric as war, but she just felt that it didn't matter that they weren't American, it was people suffering, and she needed to help.
Kayla had a special gift. Another special gift was Kayla saw all people as precious, and looked at each individual person as somebody to learn from, to learn about their ways, their cultures, no matter what background they had. She got a really joy out of that. So she was just easy to talk to because she wanted to learn about you.
Mm-hmm. Yo supongo que 10.
I imagine that 18 months, those 18 months that the kidnap lasted, meant many changes in your family. How do you stand during 18 months this kind of situation? How do you manage to put up with this situation?
Well, again, Kayla loved to write, and I do too, so we were always emailing back and forth before she was taken. The day she was taken, I had actually sent her a message by Skype asking her if we could Skype that weekend, because then what she was going to be doing that weekend. And we know, of course, we didn't hear anything, but it would have been that morning that she would have been taken. Why don't you go?
Well, of course, it was very difficult to live through this. I've said before that they not only took our daughter, but they took a year and a half of our lives as well. Every day we faced possible financial ruin. Every phone call, every email was just a tremendous shock when they'd come, because we were always reaching for something. We might hear something that she'd been freed or escaped or whatever, but our faith got us through. As you could tell by Kayla's letter, she said, "Give your pain to God," and that has helped us get through this terrible time. And without our faith, I can't imagine having to deal with this.
Because we were emailing back and forth, and she had been home a couple of months before and had told us what was going on. We had such a connection with Kayla. So I continued to write to Kayla, as I had all along, and I have 10 books full from 18 months of while she was in captivity, of writing to her and telling her what was going on, telling her of my talks with God, writing things to her that I wanted her to be able to read when she came home. to show how strong we really were for her. She knew we wanted her to be strong, but we were strong too, and that strength, it is so true. God gives you such an amazing strength to get you through everything. And I saw in her letter she had that, and we were given that too. So that's what got us through.
During the captivity of your daughter, other hostages managed to escape, to flee, and you managed to find out information about her from them. What did they tell you about her? Those people that had managed to escape, to flee, what did they tell you about her?
Well, Kayla was really, since she was a female, she was only with women for short periods of time. But one of the Frenchmen and actually it was the French government that got their people out. They paid to get their people out. But he called us and he told us, one of the stories he told us was he realized, this was in March or April, I think it was in April, and he realized that he had actually heard a female voice off and on in a different area since that last August when she was taken. But he said he thought she was a French woman because Kayla had lived in France for a year and a lot of them spoke French there, so she was speaking French. And he was so touched, he said to me, he laughed and said, I couldn't believe it was an American. Where would an American learn to speak French that well? So that was just really touching to us. And he told us that she was brought down to where the men were who were going to be leaving. And he said that the men were in a big group in a cell, and that they were so touched that it brought them to tears because she was so strong. And I think a lot of that was because Kayla was by herself. But not by herself, she had God, but because of that, she had this strength through God. That's who she would be talking to. So that was her strength. One of the MSF women who was released, she also told us funny stories and said that they would stand on their heads and they would do exercises trying to stay strong, and they would tell each other stories. And she said, I won't tell you it wasn't hard and a horrific thing to be in, but she said that she wanted us to know that they still were able to find some way of joy as friends. And they became good friends, and now we can speak with her about Kayla. And she was with her for 6 weeks, so that was good.
Most of the time Kayla was on her own, basically, I guess, in solitary confinement, but there were a few women that were with her for a brief time, and those that did get out really did not escape. They were negotiated out, and no one is privy to those details. But we know that Kayla was strong the whole time she was there, and as treated as well, I suppose, as a person can be treated in prison. Who takes someone's family member and treats them like a lion in a zoo?
One thing too, Kayla always wanted to learn Arabic because she wanted to be able to help the people and know their language. And one of the things that one of the women told me was that Kayla was very good at Arabic by then when she got to meet her. So she one of the people that was guarding her, and they changed them off probably because they didn't want him to get close to these people. But she said that there was one specific guard that was helping teach her Arabic. So that to me, I hope she, and I'm sure she did, was able to speak Arabic. So.
Si les parece, vamos a...
If you think it's right, let's give a face to Kayla. Let's have a look at a video created by the family, by the foundation, so that you get to see the face of that courageous woman.
In gratitude, I will water seeds of love. In others too, I know you're there for me, and I am so happy. In gratitude, you have watered seeds of love in me. In gratitude, I will water seeds of love in others too. And when you suffer some, call me, and I will come in gratitude.
I hope I never forget that everything happens for, and that nothing should be a regret, and that you're always learning about yourself through other people, and you're always learning about life, and that process never stops.
During these days, during this conference, let's not kid ourselves. We are going to talk about sad stories, but also we are going to talk about courageous people, very strong people that really show us the way forward. Examples are necessary in order to set the personality of our children. You must have been exemplary parents in order to have such a great child.
That's a lot.
Yeah, she did.
We called her Special K because from the time she was young, she just had this joy of life and living and being with people, and yet she also had this very creative side where she would go in her room and play her guitar and make up songs and just spend time alone too. So she had a real gift of being able to feel comfortable with herself, in herself, and yet never hesitate if someone needed to change a plan. Kayla always was able to change her plans for someone else. So I don't know, she's just very easygoing and never was into material things. The only thing she really ever had was the backpack on her back. She loved books, but finally after, so many of these trips, she got into using these tiny little books that she could open and read. And her writing, that was very important to her, her writing.
We're just an average family that was given an extraordinary child from God. And we always encouraged her, we always told her that she had a gift from God and that she should use that gift. And we always encourage her to go out and do what she was doing. So we don't feel we did anything special. We're not religious leaders. We just let Kayla use the gift that she was given.
She sent a letter to her dad, a 22-page letter, and it's almost 5 years old. But even then, we read it on the plane over here, and it's the same Kayla then as now. She just had this gentle way about her. But in that letter, are you going to read that one part where she said the two things that was most important?
Should I do it now?
Well, no.
Okay. Well, Kayla studied all religions. She studied many religions. She didn't think that there was one religion that had the perfect answer to a person's knowing God. So she went to a Buddhist retreat and was very touched by the studying that. And while she was there, it was part of this letter that she wrote to me. She said, "I'm sitting beneath a delicious mulberry tree at New Hamlet. I've read books and studied, had breakfast with the Dalai Lama, and lunch with Thich Nhat Hanh, who is the leader of this retreat. Who will it be for dinner? Mom and Dad, my two most humble spiritual leaders. Yep, dinner with my parents. I also realized during walking meditation at Upper Hamlet that I am doing exactly what I want to be doing, and my parents are proud of me." And that really touched her. I think those two things are some of the best two things one can have simultaneously. I'm eternally grateful for them. Like Oreos and milk, good times and loved ones, tea and honey, some things just taste sweeter together. My whole life, that's what I've wanted, these two things. I think it is sadly infrequent that people can say they're doing exactly what they want to do. I will never forget this feeling for as long as I live. Let me not forget this feeling.
Díganme cuál es.
Tell me, today, after the death of your daughter, what is your relationship with God? How is your relationship with God?
I don't know that it's changed. It's strong. God's just there for us at all times. And someone had asked, I've had several people ask me, aren't you angry with God? And I almost to the point where I'm thinking, should I be? But so far, I've not been able. It's not God that's made me angry at all. It's more just the world. The way Kayla would say it is, this suffering. She would not let this suffering be normal. She didn't understand how suffering could be normal, and if that's more, I don't even think I'm angry at that. I don't think I've gotten to the point where I can even be angry yet. I'm still just keep thinking maybe she'll come home, even though I know she won't.
Yeah, it's difficult to go through the loss of a loved one, and then to put these extraordinary circumstances on top of that. I think when that happens, of course, you question God, why? It's natural to do that. I believe it is. And we may not know why until we one day meet with Kayla. But all through my life, God has given me the strength and the courage and the knowledge to move forward and be strong. So, as Marcia said, when Kayla addressed our Kiwanis Club there in our hometown, she said, for as long as I live, I will never let this suffering be normal, something we just accept. So.
Another thing she sent to Carl, well, actually, she sent it to us, I guess. When she was in India, she was working in an orphanage, and she sent this little quote that said, I find God in the suffering eyes reflected in mine. If this is how you are revealed to me, this is how I will forever seek you. And Kayla was always seeking God. And that's where she found God.
Hay una página web donde ustedes pueden...
There's a website where you can find out further information. It's called forkayla.org. This has been created by her friends and colleagues. And her parents have created a foundation whose website is www.kayla.org. What's the objective or the aim of that foundation that you've created in memory of your daughter?
Well, Kaylas Foundation, it seems that we've been given this new lease on life to carry through with what Kayla so desperately wanted to get done in the world, and that's to relieve suffering around the world, whether it be in Syria and Spain and in Turkey and Nigeria, Africa. The goal will be to alleviate suffering for all people, and that's our goal in the foundation, I truly believe.
One thing we found just in the last few weeks was Kayla had actually started an organization while she was in Turkey, in southern Turkey, with a Syrian mom and her daughter to help the women of Syria that their husbands weren't with them. Either they were in the war or they hadn't returned. And these women, needed to have money to raise their children and just have some dignity. So they started a foundation. I can't remember the Arabic name, but it means dignity. That's the name of the foundation in English. And we were just really touched by the website of that organization, because it's just all of these beautiful baby clothes that these moms of these young kids and little babies were making, and they were going to sell these things so that they would have income to support their families.
Hablemos de las familias que pueden estar pasando.
If we talk about the families that could be suffering a similar situation in your country or in other countries due to this conflict, and the situations that have brought us together, what message would you send to families who are in a situation like the one that you suffered?
Well, we really worry about the people that are still with this group. That Kayla would have even met these people, and so that's one thing that's very concerning to us, and we would like to reach out to their families. We haven't. I have talked to one person that's related to one of the people that we know that's there. I see strength in this one person that I've been speaking with. She has strength too. So, when these things happen to you, if you just trust God to get you through it, I really believe He does. And don't try to get ahead of God. Don't try to go out there and just do what you want Him to do for you. Just sometimes you just got to sit there and let God take care of you. So I'd say that for me is the most important thing. And I don't know if this has to do with that question, but I would also like to just say, because this is really on my mind, as far as the way the world is and the way the world has ignored this entire situation for so long. So much could have been done back in 2013, and we would probably have a lot of these kids home. They wouldn't be dead. So I guess as far as countries go, the governments of countries, and not only the governments of countries, but also these big international NGOs of countries, they all need to get together and quit trying to keep their own little sphere contained and share information with each other so that everyone can kind of work. Because what we're doing, allowing this group, this ISIS group, they just kind of sit back and watch how no one works together and keeps all their information to themselves. And that's really just encouraging them to continue to do what they're doing. So if the countries could work together and the NGOs could share information, maybe we could save some of the kids that are still over there, and the families and the innocent people that don't, they live there, and they're being killed just because they live in the place they're living. So.
I think Kayla told us how to deal with this. Give your pain to God. And that's what really helped get us through. But to tell the other families, Marcia just said that the world needs to reach out, and the world needs to come together and put a stop to this sort of thing. And for those people that still have family held, pressure your government. We all need to pressure our governments to get them to come together and resolve this problem. It's terrible the way this has all turned out, and things need to be changed. We're currently working with our government in the review over the hostage situations. That's probably due out in the middle of May, and we'll see what happens with that.
Marcia, Carl,
Marcia, Carl, please talk to us about forgiveness. Can you forgive? Or can we forgive?
I don't think, again, it's only been 2 months. I'm still in the shock of just trying to realize I've lost my daughter. But I don't know, the word anger is not a good word for me. It doesn't make me feel good at all. I don't like that word. So I try to avoid even going that direction. And as far as forgiveness, I've asked from the very beginning, August 5th of 2013, when we first heard this, I've asked the Lord to soften the hearts of the people that held my daughter. And to me, that's a prayer we all should be asking. If we can just get their hearts softened, let them see a little bit of what they're really doing. Even if we can just, get to one of them and it just grows and grows and grows, so that they will just be able to see the darkness that they're in. Just put some light in there.
Well, God teaches us to turn the other cheek, but it'll be quite some time before I can truly say that I would forgive those people.
But I'm going to perhaps do something incorrect. We have patriarchates, bishops, many different ministers, religious people here. Should we say the Lord's Prayer, perhaps?
Pueden empezar.
Our Father,
Estás en el cielo, santificado sea tu
Amen.
Amén.
Thank you.
Marcia, Carl, muchísimas gracias.
Marcia and Carl, thank you very, very much. Thank you.